All right, ready to dive into some AI?
Always.
Okay, great. Today we're looking at SoundHound AI. SOUN.
Right, SOUN, thanks for that. And their stock has been, well, let's just say it's been interesting to watch.
Yeah, a bit of a roller coaster, wouldn't you say?
Totally. So for our listeners, maybe you can start by giving us a little background on SoundHound AI, what they do, where they fit into the whole AI landscape.
Sure. So they're all about that conversational AI. Like when you talk to your car or order food at a drive-thru, that's their bread and butter.
Makes sense. I feel like I'm seeing that tech everywhere these days.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely having a moment.
But let's get back to that stock roller coaster. What's been going on there?
Well, buckle up. On November 13th, right after they dropped their Q3 earnings report, things took a bit of a nosedive, like a 17.1% plunge down to $6.27.
Ouch. Ouch is right. But I noticed it bounced back pretty quickly.
It did. The very next day, back up 5.7% to close at $6.63.
So what happened? Did everyone suddenly decide they loved SoundHound AI again? Well, there was this analyst report from H.C. Wainwright, guy named Scott Buck, and he kept his buy rating on the stock, even bumped up his price target from $7 to $8.
So one analyst's optimism saved the day.
Maybe not the whole story, but it definitely helped. Buck's highlighting their strong operating results, a positive outlook, all that good stuff. Plus, there's a few other things bubbling under the surface that could be impacting things.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Spill the tea. What else should we be looking at?
Well, for one, SoundHound just busted out of this cup with handle base at $6.25.
A what now?
Sorry, technical jargon. It's basically a chart pattern some investors use to try and predict stock movements.
Ah, got it. So what does this cup with handle tell us?
Well, picture this. The stock price dips, then goes back up like a cup, right? Then there's another little dip like a handle on the cup, and when it breaks above that handle, boom, could be a sign of an upward trend.
So Breakout plus optimistic analyst equals good news for SoundHound.
Potentially, yeah. And looking ahead, the next 3 months, analysts are saying that price could range anywhere from $6.65 to $9.87, even suggesting a possible 25.42% rise.
Okay, so things are looking up. But what about the company's financials? How are they actually doing?
Well, their revenue growth is pretty impressive. Got to give them that. In 2023, they saw a 47.36% jump, ending up at $45.87 million compared to $31.13 million the year before.
Wow, that's a big leap. Seems like demand for their tech is booming.
No doubt. But, and here's the but, they did report a net loss of $91.71 million.
Yikes, not quite in the green yet then.
Not yet, but it's actually an improvement. That loss has shrunk by 21.42% from the previous year.
Okay, so losses are getting smaller. That's good, right? But what's their plan for actually becoming profitable?
Their management team is aiming for positive adjusted EBITDA by the end of 2025.
Adjusted what now?
Sorry, it's basically a way to measure how profitable their operations are, and if they hit a positive number, it means they're on track for sustainable growth, making money in the long run.
Okay. Sustainable growth, always good to hear. And earlier we touched on that optimistic analyst. What was his name again?
Scott Buck.
Right, Scott Buck. He seemed pretty positive about their growth strategy. Can you give us the rundown on what they're actually planning?
Basically, they've got 3 main areas of focus: expand revenue, improve those gross margins, and attract more investors. Ride this whole AI wave and make the most of it.
Yeah, makes sense. So how do they plan to expand their revenue? More partnerships, new products? What's the deal?
Well, they're definitely looking at leveraging partnerships and tapping into the growing demand for this voice AI tech. I mean, think about it. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
True. It seems like voice AI is popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about those gross margins? How are they planning on boosting those?
Efficiency. It's all about streamlining their operations, making things run smoothly, and, ultimately making more money.
Got it. Work smarter, not harder. And lastly, attracting investors. How do they plan on doing that?
They want to ride this AI hype wave, use it to attract the long-term capital they need to keep growing.
Sounds like a solid plan. But you know what they say? No investment is without risk.
Oh, absolutely. And there's one thing in particular investors often look at, and that's insider activity.
What does that mean exactly?
Basically, we're looking at what the company's own bigwigs are doing with their stock, buying more, selling. And in SoundHound's case, over the past 100 trades, there's been a lot more selling than buying. Insiders have sold off 20.85 million shares, but only bought 6.69 million.
That does seem a little, I don't know, concerning.
Yeah, it's something to keep in mind. Could be for personal reasons, sure,
Yeah.
but it could also mean some insiders are a little less optimistic about the short-term outlook.
All right, good to know. So overall, how's the market feeling about SoundHound AI?
Well, despite that insider activity, analysts are still fairly positive.
That's interesting. What's driving that optimism?
Out of the 5 analysts covering the stock, 3 are saying buy, 2 are at a hold, and no one's hitting that sell button just yet.
Okay, so a cautious thumbs up from the experts. What kind of price targets are they setting?
The consensus for the next 12 months is $8.10. That's a potential 27.36% jump from where it is now, $6.36.
Okay, that's not bad at all. What's the most optimistic prediction out there?
The highest we've seen is $10, so some folks are definitely bullish on their potential.
Big dreams for SoundHound. Now, before we wrap this up, any technical indicators we should be watching?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. The short-term moving average, think short-term trends, is flashing a sell signal, but the long-term one is still positive, suggesting things are looking up over time.
So short term, maybe shaky, long term, maybe not so much.
Yeah, it really depends on your investment style and how long you're planning to hold.
Got it. Any specific price points to watch?
Keep an eye on $6.27 for support and $6.96 for resistance. Watching those levels can give you a sense of where things might be heading in the short term.
Great info. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into SoundHound AI, their stock performance, financials, growth strategy, and the overall market sentiment.
We did.
But as we mentioned earlier, every investment comes with its own set of risks.
Absolutely. We need to be realistic about the potential downsides, too. And one thing that jumps out is just how volatile this stock can be.
Okay, paint a picture for us. How wild are we talking?
Well, on average, the price swings about 11.12% every day, and their beta is 3.04, which means it tends to move way more dramatically than the overall market. So yeah, buckle up for a bumpy ride.
Sounds like it. What else should investors be thinking about before jumping on the SoundHound train?
The big one, can they actually hit that profitability target by 2025? If they miss it, it could really shake investor confidence.
In a sense, profitability shows they can actually turn their cool tech into cold, hard cash.
Exactly. And don't forget about the bigger market picture. SoundHound tends to move in the same direction as the Russell 2000 index. So if the market takes a hit, they probably will too.
It's all connected. And of course, we can't forget about the competition. SoundHound's up against some serious players in the AI world, like Amazon and Google. How are they going to hold their own against those giants?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. They're definitely the underdog in this story, but they've got a solid foundation in voice AI and a pretty ambitious plan. It'll be fascinating to see how they navigate this competitive landscape.
Totally. It's like a real-life David and Goliath story unfolding. Well, in the next part of our deep dive, we'll dig into some of the key things you, as a potential investor, should be thinking about when it comes to SoundHound AI. So let's talk tech. What exactly makes SoundHound AI different in this, super crowded AI space?
Well, they're all about voice AI, right? But they're
Yeah.
doing some really interesting stuff beyond just simple voice commands.
Okay, so not just telling Alexa to play my favorite song.
Exactly. They've got these super advanced systems, speech to meaning, deep meaning understanding, all designed to make their AI actually get what you're saying, like the context, the intent.
So it's not just recognizing words, but understanding meaning. That's pretty cool.
Right. And they're applying it everywhere. Healthcare, customer service, finance, you name it. Their voice AI platform is built to be super adaptable, so any business can use it.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. They're tailoring their tech to different industries.
Exactly. And they've got this thing called collective AI, which is like a game changer.
Collective AI, what's that all about?
Imagine a platform where developers can all work together, building and improving SoundHound's AI across tons of different areas.
So like a giant AI brain where everyone's contributing.
Kinda, yeah. It lets their technology learn and adapt way faster, which is crucial in the AI world. Things change so quickly.
Makes sense. But let's get real world here. What are some examples of SoundHound's AI in action?
Oh, tons. They've teamed up with Kia, for example, to put voice AI in their cars. So now you can control everything with your voice, keep your hands on the wheel, eyes on the road.
Talk about making driving safer.
Totally. And they're also working with restaurants like Jersey Mike's and White Castle to streamline drive-thru ordering. Makes things faster, more efficient.
I've definitely seen those voice ordering kiosks popping up. Pretty slick.
Right. And it's not just about convenience. These systems can help restaurants upsell, personalize orders, even boost customer satisfaction.
Smart. So they're solving real problems, making things better. Sounds like they're thinking big when it comes to growth.
Oh, yeah. Big plans. Part of their strategy has been acquisitions like Allset and Amelia AI in 2024. Really expanded their reach.
Interesting. Tell me more about these acquisitions. What do these companies do?
So Allset, they're all about online and mobile ordering for restaurants, which fits perfectly with SoundHound's voice ordering tech, right?
Yeah, that's a natural fit.
Makes them a powerhouse in restaurant tech. And then there's Amelia AI. They're all about enterprise conversational AI. Think super smart virtual assistants that can handle customer questions, even complete transactions.
So they're taking their tech to a whole new level.
Exactly. Opens up a massive market for them, especially with the demand for AI customer service booming.
Makes sense. And earlier we touched on their revenue projections, which were, let's just say, ambitious.
Right. They're aiming for $150 million by 2025. That's a huge jump.
Huge. What makes them so confident they can hit that number?
Well, those acquisitions are part of it, but they're also banking on the overall growth of the voice and conversational AI market. That thing's supposed to be worth like $140 billion.
That's a lot of potential customers.
No kidding. But let's be real, there are always risks, right? Competition is fierce.
Yeah, Google, Amazon, Apple, they're all in the AI game. How can SoundHound compete with those heavy hitters?
It's a good question. They're focusing on specific areas, finding their niche, and building partnerships, which is smart.
Strength in numbers?
Exactly. But those partnerships, well, they can be risky too. Their success hinges on their partners doing well.
So it's not all sunshine and roses.
Never is. It's important to remember there are factors outside their control that could impact things.
True. Well, before we move on, any updates on their stock?
As of November 15th, they're trading at $6.36 a share. Market cap sits at $2 billion.
Okay, still a small fish in a big pond, but with a lot of potential. In the last part of our deep dive, we'll dig into what all of this means for investors. Should you buy, sell, hold? What's the deal? Okay, so we've heard the good, we heard the, well, maybe not so good. But the big question is, should you invest in SoundHound AI?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And like with any investment, it all comes down to, well, your own situation, what you're looking for, how much risk you're comfortable with.
Right, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Yeah.
But let's break it down. What are some of the things that might make SoundHound AI a good investment for someone?
Well, first off, they're in a market that's just exploding. The demand for voice AI, conversational AI, it's through the roof. And SoundHound, they're right there leading the charge.
Yeah, and they're not just riding the wave, they're innovating. That tech we talked about, the speech to meaning, deep meaning understanding,
Yeah.
that's some next level stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. They're shaping the future of how we interact with, well, everything. And those acquisitions, Allset, Amelia AI, those were smart moves.
Really solidify their position in some key markets.
Exactly. And don't forget their revenue growth. It's impressive. Plus, they're aiming to be profitable by 2025.
Right, and hitting that profitability target, that's a big deal for investors. Shows they can actually make money.
Absolutely. But, gotta be real here. There are risks. We've talked about the volatility, the competition. They're not in the clear just yet.
Yeah, it's definitely not a sure thing. So what are some of those red flags investors should be aware of?
That volatility, it's real. This stock can swing wildly, so gotta be prepared for that.
Definitely not for the faint of heart.
And profitability, well, it's still a goal, not a reality. So, gotta be okay with a little uncertainty.
Makes sense. And those big tech companies, Amazon, Google, they're formidable opponents. How can SoundHound possibly compete with that?
That's the challenge, right? They're focusing on niches, partnering up, trying to find their own path.
Strength in numbers, right.
Exactly. But remember, those partnerships, they can be a double-edged sword.
Right, if their partners stumble, SoundHound might too.
Exactly. So it's a bit of a balancing act, weighing the potential rewards against those very real risks. At the end of the day, it's your call. Do your research, understand your own investment goals, and make the decision that's right for you.
Great advice. Well, it's been a fascinating journey exploring SoundHound AI. It's a company with big dreams, cutting-edge tech, and, well, a whole lot of potential. But like any investment, there are risks to consider. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into SoundHound AI. We hope you found it informative, and as always, happy investing.